Welcome to the show. We call it Molotsky on Money. What is this show all about? Well, it's pretty simple. It's about money, specifically investment strategies, taxes, real estate, estate planning, and more. And we discuss it with our panel. Stan Molotsky, president and founder of the SHM Financial Group, providing sound financial insights and strategies since 1958. Also with Lee Molotsky, vice president of the SHM Financial Group. You get it? Money, Molotsky. That's how we came up with this creative title. We're happy to have you with us. I'm your host, John DeMasi, and for the next half hour, we will be discussing valuable information that we have on each and every show that we hope that you and your family can benefit from. And without further ado, we welcome our panel, Stan Molotsky and Lee Molotsky. Good to have you with us here on the show. We have so much to talk about on tonight's show, but first, you do something you've been doing forever, which, again, I always say these things, and you look at me like I'm trying to make you feel old. No.
Mature.
Okay.
Right.
You've been doing these things for a long time. They are seminars where you invite people to come in. They are complimentary. And you actually meet people and you go over certain things, certain issues, certain situations. Talk about that, because I understand you have a few coming up soon.
We have, yes, in May 21st and May 23rd. We have two programs, and we get the topics from clients who call in on our radio show, our clients that we meet with, things that are on their mind, things that we want to bring to the public as far as the different things that they have an interest in. And that's what we'll be talking about on the 21st at Vigiano's restaurant in Berlin, New Jersey, or actually on the Haddonfield-Berlin Road in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, across from Winter Ford, and at the Mansions on the 23rd. And there are a variety of topics that we are going to be discussing: how you cannot outlive your money, the physical cliff versus the retirement cliff, the problem that the administration keeps throwing out at us versus the retirement, and how you try and do that, and how you make sure that you don't outlive your money, and a multitude of other things. And then, of course, we answer whatever questions the people may have.
And these are complimentary.
They're complimentary.
And you, after the seminar, you have dinner.
Yes, we have dinner and, meet with the people, and we'll answer whatever questions they might possibly have.
And you get a lot of interesting questions.
We do. The questions are what is on the people's mind at that particular time, and it's part of the theme of our practice of knowing what is on the minds of our clients and prospective clients, and try and answer and give them the updated information that we have available to present to people.
And Lee, the only thing you have to do is make a reservation, correct?
Correct. 1-800.
Money SHM.
Money SHM.
See that? I knew that.
1-800
Okay.
Money. And what's important here is that these are really educational, strictly educational discussions about Social Security, in particular fiscal cliff, et cetera. They're very current topics, and it's very informative.
How much money should be in what types of things in today's economic environment? That's the theme of the program.
And speaking of themes, you like how we're tying this all in? Because tonight we're going to be talking about the Social Security Maximization Report. And this is something that Stan and Lee and the SHM Financial Group can provide for you. It can show you and can kind of help you in terms of what you're going to do as far as your retirement is concerned. So we're going to talk about that throughout the course of the show. But the question is, Social Security. People don't know, they can't figure it out. I mean, you probably get hundreds of questions about that.
We do. I mean, it's an ongoing thing, and the people keep asking the question, well, if inflation is supposedly at 2-3% and it's costing me 7-8% more a year to live, and in Social Security is supposed to be adjusted for inflation, and it's not, what's happening? And of course, our answer to that is what's happening. We have a elected group of officials who think differently than most of us do. And if you have a complaint, you should call your congressman and senator. And
which you've told people often.
Constantly, right, exactly.
But I want to talk about, Lee, what you do. We've talked about this on other shows about how you help clients. But first, I wanted to ask, like, why do people invest? There's probably a couple of major reasons. And we're going to show here, these are just a couple of them. But talk about building
Sure.
a nest egg and education and retirement, those kinds
The
of things.
basic premise of investing is really to, in today's world of low interest rate environment, they're looking for alternatives as to what to do with their money. You can't just sit in a bank and earn 0.1%, 0.2% on your money and successfully invest it, because a very important issue that we have to deal with is something called inflation. And inflation is with us, taxes are with us, and your money has to earn enough to kind of beat inflation and beat taxes as best you possibly can. So sitting in the bank at 0.1%, 0.2%, or 0.5% is not going to accomplish your goals.
That's not really going to help people.
You're going
correct?
backwards.
Right.
You're going backwards.
Yeah, so if you look at a chart, and we'll bring this up next week as well as the week after, about we'll bring out a chart that explains how, if you look at a chart, the interest that you earn minus taxes minus inflation, if you're not earning at least 2.5% to 3% on your money after taxes and inflation, you're really, as you said just a few minutes ago, you're losing.
Right. Now, you help clients in all of those areas. We talked about building a nest egg, retirement, education. But as part of that process, I want to get specific. I'm going to show just a couple of things here. How do you help people in terms of what do you do? And we're showing here, like, you do client reviews every 3 to 6 months.
Really
correct?
important goals and objectives change, risk tolerant changes as the markets vacillate all over the place. And we have a lot of tools in the office that we make available to our clients to make sure that their game plan is still in line each quarter.
Well, that's the most fascinating part about this industry, is that there are all of these different tools, like Lee said, that are available, and our job is to try and integrate that into the planning process, because it's a constant adjusting of the plan that the people have.
And that was the point, and that was our theme of this show, because we're going to show in our next segment, we're going to show them this Social Security maximization report. We're going to show how it can help them maximize that, because the sad thing, and also reality, Lee, 30% of the people rely only on Social Security for their retirement.
We'll talk a little bit more about Social Security as we move through the program, but Social Security has changed since its invention, so to speak. I mean, Social Security came out, I think it was supposed to start after the life...
It was 1935. We did this on the radio.
We did this on the radio.
It started in 1935, and you collected when you were 65, but the life expectancy back then was 62.
So it's great for the system. It's great for the system, but today's...
It was a backup system. I mean, that's all it was ever expected to be, was a backup system.
It's not a primary.
No, it's not a primary.
But unfortunately for many, it is. It is primary and only, correct?
Well, one of the reasons is, fortunately, people are living longer.
Yes.
And as they live longer, their needs become greater, and they need more capital in order to exist. And you factor in that inflation cycle. If you needed $50,000 or $100,000 10 years ago, you need 40% more just to be even, to have the same buying power. And again, Social Security doesn't accomplish that. You need other things in addition to the Social Security.
That's why this report, and this is available to anyone, complimentary, correct?
Correct.
This Social Security maximization report.
At the moment, it's
yes,
complimentary,
okay.
yes.
But it's available, and this helps show them how they can make the most of their Social Security, correct?
Well, yes, and not only that, it's helpful for people who are already collecting Social Security, because of what happens to one of them, assuming they're married, what happens to one of them? I mean, how does Social Security money change for the surviving spouse, and how you can maximize that, and what happens if there's a divorce, what happens if the people get remarried, who do they collect from, how do they collect from, and how can they collect on 2, 3 different marriages? All that is part of the report.
Okay, and we're going to show that. We're going to show that. We're coming up on a break. We're going to show that Social Security maximization report. Stay with us here. It's Molotsky on Money. I'm your host, John DeMasi, with Stan and Lee Molotsky from the SHM Financial Group. Plenty more to talk about on the show. Stay with us. We'll do that after these words.
Join Stan and Lee Molotsky and their guests for their next series of all-important workshops. It's a unique opportunity for you to meet Stan and Lee and the SHM Financial Group, as well as have your questions answered. All workshops are complimentary and include lunch or dinner.
As you approach the day you retire, you approach the retirement cliff. For nearly every American, Social Security is a big part of your bridge over the cliff and into retirement. When you have a personalized Social Security maximization report, you will hold in your hands a blueprint for the bridge to carry you safely over the retirement cliff. You will know exactly what to do and exactly when to do it. Social Security Maximization Report. Maximize your Social Security income and minimize the dangers of the retirement cliff.
Do you know what your risk tolerance is when it comes to your investments? Do you know exactly what you have in your portfolio? The SHM Financial Group have developed a very important program called a financial stress test. It's simple, quick, and can help you in your future financial plans. Contact the SHM Financial Group to schedule it. Offices in Collingswood, Voorhees, and Lakehurst, New Jersey. Call 1-800-MONEY-SHM. That's 1-800-666-3974.
Welcome back to Molotsky on Money. I'm your host, John DeMasi, with Stan and Lee Molotsky. As we've said many times, we are here every week at this time providing some financial information for you and your family, all of it to help you as far as your overall financial picture is concerned. And tonight's program, as always, is no exception. Now, we were talking in our earlier segment about Social Security, and Stan, this is another tool in your kit of hundreds and hundreds of tools. It's called the Social Security Maximization Report.
Correct.
Why is this important for people to take it or to know about it?
Well, you would, the first thing you think about pertaining to Social Security is, well, I'm already taking Social Security, I don't need this report. Well, that's not true, because the plan, the program, maximizes what your Social Security would be. Even though you're taking it, you should go through this report to see how you can maximize it even more. And if you haven't taken Social Security and you're looking at different ways that you should take it based on your age and the income flow that you have, this report, which has thousands and thousands of inputs going into it, that gives you the best things for you to do based on your age, your objectives, your goals, and what you're trying to accomplish.
And I understand there are several thousand factors that go into this?
Many thousands, exactly.
So it's not just your age or your income or whatever. It's not that.
No,
it's that plus many other things.
Right. It's part of the stress test, the goals, the assets you have, the objectives you're trying to accomplish, the amount of Social Security credits that you have built up, when you should take them, at what age it makes sense to take them, and if you're already taking them, how you can in turn even maximize that even further.
Let me ask you a silly question. Is the number of times someone's been married affect Social Security?
Sure. I mean, look, we have, remember the couple of clients we have down in the Toms River, Lakehurst area? I mean, if one lady's collecting on three.
So she married well, basically.
Her goal in life is to keep, if you're married for 10 years, then you're entitled to collect off of your ex's Social Security. She's collecting three.
Okay, we want to get to this because we have a lot to show. We're going to get to, this is a case study, and Stan, it says here that George and Mary, he is now 60, she's 56. This is what they should expect.
Yeah, based on
when they reach full retirement age.
Exactly. Correct? Assuming that their income level is basically the same with moderate increases, that would be the numbers that they would be collecting on Social Security. That is correct.
So they're going to get $2,800 when they reach 67.
Correct.
Pretty much. Okay. And we're going to go through this because it's going to show you. Now, this is probably the most important element of this, and it says what is at stake. Explain this, Stan. What is this really showing us here?
Well, skipping all the way over to the far right-hand column, it basically shows that by taking this report and maximizing what they were doing, they'll increase the amount of their potential income as a family by $170,000. By doing this, taking this report, they will maximize for themselves $170,000.
That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
And this is over the course of their lifetime, is that what you're saying?
From once they start taking Social Security based on their age projected, life expectancy, that would be the additional amount of money that they'll collect just by taking the time to fill out the report.
So in this particular case and illustration, there's no cookie cutter answer to whether or not one should take Social Security age 62, wait till 66, wait till 68, 70. Everybody's different based upon their age, their income, their spouse's age, their spouse's income, et cetera. as well.
Okay, let's continue because we have some more to show here. Now, what is this? Could you explain this, Stan? It looks like a clock and red and yellow and all of this. It looks very nice. What is it?
Long story short, the longer you wait, the more you will in turn collect. And the far right-hand column shows filing age, and then it shows the percentage of income that you will get, or the percentage of the dollars that you will maximize by taking and waiting at any particular age. So at age 70, you're going to be taking out about 130% of what you would take out based on your current retirement age of 65, 66, 67.
And does this report help you determine whether you take it at 62, 67, 70? Does that help you?
It gives you the numbers, and then you can adjust based on your own set of circumstances. Absolutely. Sometimes it makes sense to take it early. Sometimes it makes sense to take it at the full retirement age of 67 or 66 or 65 based on when you were born. And sometimes it waits to take it when you're 70, but at the same time, sometimes it makes sense for the spouse to start taking based on her husband's numbers, or the husband to take based on the wife's numbers. All of these things, with today, when you have two-income families, it's more important to make sure that you go through this maximization report.
We have always talked about Social Security as being, unfortunately, only 30% of the people rely on that completely. They don't have anything else.
Correct.
That is unfortunate, but that's the reality.
Correct.
Does this show them what else they can do, or does it show them, well, your Social Security is not enough, so you're going to have to do more things?
Well,
How
it
does
does.
that work?
I mean, like the couple that was, that we put up there before, their ages, they still had some time to maneuver to do different things. If you're already collecting and you have a certain dollar amount, then it's a matter of maximizing what those dollars are so that you can supplement the Social Security income factor even more so.
Lee, what do you usually tell people after they get this report? I mean, do you help them, you kind of shed some light on what they should be doing at this point? Is that how it works?
Yeah, really what it does, the report just helps somebody kind of drill down and focus on where it is that the optimum time for them to start collecting is. That's what this is all about. Optimizing and maximizing Social Security and your income and your assets so that you can enjoy more of your money for a longer period of time.
Most of the time, most of the reports are done with people who are pre-collecting Social Security. But there is an advantage if you're already collecting some of the different things that you can do as well.
So if you're collecting, you should take it. If you're not collecting, you should take it. Either way,
Absolutely.
you should take it.
Absolutely.
And at the moment, it's complimentary.
At the moment,
it
it's
is called a Social Security Maximization Report.
That is correct.
Just call your toll-free number, which we show up on the screen many times here on the show. More to talk about here on the show. It's Molotsky on Money. Stan and Lee Molotsky are here from the SHM Financial Group, providing sound financial insights and strategies since 1958. And I'm your host, John DeMasi. We're coming back. More Molotsky on Money right after these words.
Join Stan and Lee Molotsky and their guests for their next series of all-important workshops. It's a unique opportunity for you to meet Stan and Lee and the SHM Financial Group, as well as have your questions answered. All workshops are complimentary and include lunch or dinner. Do you know what your risk tolerance is when it comes to your investments? Do you know exactly what you have in your portfolio? The SHM Financial Group have developed a very important program called a financial stress test. It's simple, quick, and can help you in your future financial plans. Contact the SHM Financial Group to schedule it. Offices in Collingswood, Voorhees, and Lakehurst, New Jersey. Call 1-800-MONEY-SHM. That's 1-800-666-3974.
Welcome back to Molotsky on Money. I'm your host, John DeMasi, with Stan and Lee Molotsky from the SHM Financial Group. As I've said many times, we're here every week and we discuss a variety of issues, all financial in nature. If you have questions, specific questions about your situation, we have the number up there on the screen from time to time. We also have the email address for Stan and Lee Molotsky and the entire SHM Financial Group, so feel free to contact them at any time. And I know both of you talk to many people during the course of the week who listen to you on the radio. Now they're watching you on television. How do you like being a TV star, by the way?
I don't know if it's a good thing or not. On the radio, they don't know. I mean, you have an illusion.
And I'm not sure TV star is the right word.
No,
We're here doing a little educational discussion.
All
Right.
We saw some really interesting graphs and charts in our last segment, but I guess my question is, after all of that, it's obviously a very good report and it's very helpful, but what if people don't have enough at this point? Can they do anything? Is there things they can do at this point to help them in terms of their retirement or just building a nest egg?
Well,
I would say always. I mean,
there's always something to do, right? Exactly.
always something. I mean, you really just don't want lazy money sitting there. And what I mean by that, you worked very hard to get the monies that you have. You don't want the monies just kind of being idly sitting around waiting to decide what to do. In today's interest rate environment, you're falling farther and farther behind the 8 ball after taxes and inflation. So you want your money to work as hard for you as you did to earn it. And one of the things that we do is we have a stress test that will show some of the areas of concern and how to deal with those issues.
Well, like you said earlier, you're getting, both of you said, you're getting a 0.5%, 1% in a CD or in a bank.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky, you're behind. You're
Well,
way behind.
It's like putting the money in a drawer, only instead of in the drawer, it's at the bank,
Right.
sitting there waiting for you to draw it out, looking for an opportunity to put the money elsewhere. Well, there are opportunities. There are tremendous opportunities for people to utilize the different things that are available. And what we try and bring to the table is, as an entity, as an independent entity, we don't have a specific locked-in product line. Our job is to present the stress test, analyze the stress test, and then come back with alternatives to that particular person or those people based on what their goals, objectives, and risk tolerance actually is, and show them different alternatives based on all the different things that are at our disposal.
Okay, we have some questions. I mentioned earlier, you get questions all the time, both of you. We have some questions. These have come in from a variety of sources, some from the radio, some from seminars, et cetera. But this is Mary in Stratford. She's 61 and her husband is 60. She said, we're planning to retire in a few years, but my husband wants to begin taking Social Security at 62 and still work. I say wait until 66 so we don't have to pay anything back. What do you say?
Well, we agree with her. We agree with the wife. I mean, and we went through in this particular instance, we went through with the stress test, and we went through with the Social Security maximization report, and the conclusion was, there's no question, they should wait, because with him working prior and taking money for Social Security prior to his full retirement age, he was only capped out at a certain amount that he could earn before he had to pay back into Social Security that money. So it made no sense for him to take the Social Security amount. But there are other things that we talked about that they can be doing that will allow them to have an additional cash flow. Maybe she could take Social Security off of his because it's a whole different set of circumstances based on that Social Security maximization report.
By the way, there are over 2,000 items that go into this Social Security maximization report, 2,000 factors. So it's not a cookie cutter answer,
No.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, whoever the email was from. The answer may be yes for them. A slight alteration in the goals and objectives, the answer may be no for the next couple. So you can't just say, okay, that's the answer for everybody.
Good point.
There's
2,000 factors?
2,000 factors.
That's incredible.
A lot of money got put into this system in order to develop and design this program.
Okay, we're going to talk more about that.
Sure.
We have another question here. I believe this is Philip in Northeast Philadelphia. Philip says, I'm 55. I'll be getting a small pension, about $400 a month from my job, plus Social Security when I retire. I'm planning on doing that in 7 years. Do you think I have enough to retire? If not, what should I do now?
Well, we're not sure. We have not talked with Philip. We haven't been able to get in touch with him. We don't know if he's married or not. If he's not married, we're strongly suggesting that he go find someone with a lot of money because he is going to have a problem. I mean,
Okay.
Because with that amount of money.
Explain why.
Well, it's not enough there. There's not enough money. The pension and the Social Security just won't cut it as far as an income flow is concerned for him. So he has to do some definite planning quickly in order to get to a position that he'll be able to live in a style to which makes some sense in today's environment.
One of the issues Philip may have, and unbeknownst to us, we don't know the answer. One of the issues today, healthcare alone that $400 a month, is that what he was receiving?
$400 a month pension, yes.
Yeah, well,
Healthcare alone, if he doesn't have healthcare provided,
It's going to be more than $400 a month, correct?
exactly,
yeah,
right.
So Philip may be a little bit behind the eight ball. Again, we need about half an hour with him. Again, call the 800 number. Let's sit down and discuss the stress test and go over the Social Security maximization rate.
Obviously, you don't know him and you haven't been in touch with him, but that's a scenario you hear all too often, unfortunately, correct?
Yes.
What does he do? And you were kind of joking, find somebody to marry, but I mean...
Well, he may be married.
What do you do?
There are options. There are different things that are available. He may have, for example, a home. And at this point, he may have a small mortgage in that home, or not a mortgage in that home. And at some point along the way, he could take advantage of, when he reaches a certain age, what is that, 62, Lee?
62.
At 62, he could consider this thing called, not a thing, but this program called a reverse mortgage, which makes sense for some people to utilize. And again, we'll be talking about that in another show in a greater depth. But these are things that allow people to pay off a mortgage, not have to worry about the mortgage, and put cash in their pocket. Again, it's just part of the planning process based on what he or she is trying to.
That's one tool.
That's just
one
of-
tool.
Hey, what's interesting, and don't discount that tool, we had a client of ours, she's 93 years old. She had about $10,000 in the bank, and similar to Philip, that was all she had. The long story short, what we did for her, at the discussion with her son and her daughter, we did a reverse mortgage for that young lady who was 93 years old, and now she's in great shape.
Well,
Those assets were.
as an example, the son was a client, and he came in for his review. And long story short, he and his sister were contributing about $4,000 to $5,000 a month for the mother, who was up in Bergen County, in order to stay in the home. She was not leaving the house. She was mentally and physically aware of what was going on. She wanted to stay in the house, but they had to hire people to cook and clean and make sure she was not doing things
Just
that
to help
weren't.
her
She was
every
92.
day. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That was the cost. So they came into the office, and what can we do? How do we rearrange things? And Lee said, well, why don't you consider this thing called a reverse mortgage? And their comment was, well, she's 92. So Lee said, well, it's not based on her age, based on the value of the home.
Right.
Long story short, went through the process. We introduced them to Gradient Home Mortgage, which is part of a division that we work with. And basically they went through the thing. And a month later, there was, $280,000 because she took a percentage of the value of that house, put it in the bank. And now that's the money that is sitting there to be drawing down for the mother. And our client, the son, and his sister don't have that out-of-pocket money
But
anymore.
again, many tools in your kit. That was one tool, and you helped the client.
Exactly.
But it takes sitting down and opening up and to lay it out on the table to see if there's anything that we can be of support.
Well, as we always like to say here on the show, time flies when you're having fun. That's going to put the wraps on another edition of Molotsky on Money. For Stan and Lee Molotsky, I'm your host, John DeMasi. Always a pleasure. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you have a question, give them a call. They'll be happy to talk to you. We will talk to you next week at this very same time. Molotsky on Money, right here. Take care.
Join Stan and Lee Molotsky and their guests for their next series of all-important workshops. It's a unique opportunity for you to meet Stan and Lee and the SHM Financial Group, as well as have your questions answered. All workshops are complimentary and include lunch or dinner.
Balancing safety and risk in your portfolio is very important. An easy way to do this is to use the rule of 100. The closer you get to retirement, the less time you have to recover from losses. Not adjusting your risk as you age can have a traumatic effect on your retirement. This system will provide you with the percent of your nest egg that should be allocated to either safe or volatile investments. Do you know how to classify your assets? Do you know if they fit your risk tolerance? Give our office a call today for a complimentary Rule of 100 report.